sometimes, and we have to wonder, are we secretly wanting to struggle? And I don't think anybody says, yes, I'm secretly wanting to struggle, but are you secretly wanting to struggle and you just don't realize it? So I'm super excited today to be joined by Shiraz. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me, Tiffany. It's a pleasure.
And it's a serendipitous week because I was on his show earlier this week. So I'll include that in the description on YouTube after the fact. And then here he is to talk to us a little bit about this, why you secretly want to struggle. Now, who is he to share this information with us? A little bit about Shiraz. So, a recent scientific report says that 92% of people never achieve their success goals. So, he's going to help us as a multi-award winning author. I wonder what awards those are. An international speaker. He's speaking internationally. I mean, for most of y'all in the USA, he's in the USA, but he speaks internationally, and an expert in reality addiction. Now, he's been helping people hit their success goals for the last decade. He coaches you on how to rise out of your current circumstances and, most importantly, stay out. His book, How to Rewrite Reality, has changed lives across the globe. He's going to show you how to identify where you're unknowingly addicted to many of the struggles in your life, how to break free of those addictions, and then create success easier and faster than before, which hopefully, then we can have more time to have more fun. Welcome, Shiraz. Glad to have you joining us today.
Thanks again, Tiffany.
So talk to us a little bit about how is it that people want to struggle without realizing it?
All right, but before I do that, full disclosure, I'm at an event right now, and the only quiet place I could get to do this is in the hallway. I'm sitting on the floor with the laptop in my lap.
So, I was going to say, you look pretty good. Like sometimes you look better than people that are even in their own place. So if something happens, Wi-Fi could go wonky, somebody could walk in, we will be very understanding of the circumstances.
They do have nice walls here. It makes for.
I know. I was going to say it. It's a pretty nice looking background that you got going on there.
This is actually the studio where Tony Robbins does his lives from when he's in studio.
Wow. Very nice. That's a good extra room to be next to.
Yes. All right. So why people want struggle? It's interesting because consciously we don't want struggle. Unconsciously, we want to be safe. And we actually don't want to be safe from physical things. We want to be safe from emotional things. And this is where people get messed up because you're trying to create success. And you're like, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this, I had some success, and then I lost it. And you're like, I think I'm doing everything right. I'm doing whatever I'm being told to do, but I'm not getting the results I want. Anytime you have a consistent physical problem, whether it's not having the money, the success, even an illness, problems with relationships, that is always the solution to an emotional problem you're not looking at.
Okay. Say that one more time for us.
Any consistent physical problem in your life is the solution to an emotional problem you're not looking at.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more if you can.
Okay. So, for instance, let's say you want to make a lot of money. That's something a lot of people come to me for. Yes, I want to make lots of money. Then we say, okay, let's look at what's going to happen when you make lots of money. And people are like, it's going to be great because now I can pay off the debts I have. I'm free to travel. I can spend more money on my family. And it's all going to be amazing. But then we start digging a little deeper and things start to come up like, oh, but I know the rest of my family, not just my internal, my external family is going to be like, oh, you've got money now. Can we have some? Right? I know people are going to come up and say, hey, can you invest in my business? And I'm like, well, how do you feel about that? Oh, no, I don't want that. How do I avoid that but still have the money? I'm like, well, that's the thing. Some people are just going to do it. So if you want to avoid that, the solution your subconscious goes to is, well, let's just not have the money. If I don't have the money, we don't have to deal with any of that. Right? And it's not even the situation you're trying to avoid. It's your emotional impact of this. Like, oh, I'm going to be guilted into this, or it's just going to be frustrating every day. That's what you're avoiding. So this is it. So your solutions to get out of feelings of guilt or shame, which is what most people are trying to avoid. There are three big solutions that people come up with. It comes up unconsciously, but it manifests so you think that's just my life. And
Mm.
there's nothing I can do about it. And that is, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, or I'm too sick.
What the third one you said? I'm too sick.
I'm too sick.
Huh. All
Right?
right.
Yeah. So, and a lot of this comes from feeling guilty when we say no to people. Right. So it's like people are asking you to do stuff and you don't really want to do them, but you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't, I don't have enough time to do that. Meanwhile, you're on the other hand, you're saying, when am I ever going to have some time? I'm always so busy. Right?
Mm.
So, but you've put that no time in place unconsciously so you don't have to feel guilty when you say no to people.
Oh my gosh. So people are just saying, yes, let it pile on, because then it's easier to say I can't versus
Yeah.
no, I don't want to.
Yes.
Why is it that we find, like, why do we have such a hard time saying no to people, or just kind of understanding where we want to be with things?
Because we get taught that you've got to consider everyone else's feelings first. And
Mm.
so, and then we don't want to feel guilty for making people feel bad, right? You know, they're inviting me out, they're all excited, and I'm like, I don't really want to go. Right? So, and you know, you've seen like movies, and you probably have friends and know people that they've been in relationships too long because they're afraid to break up because they'll hurt the other person's feelings, right? They don't
Yes.
want to close the
Or not quit
sale.
jobs.
Yeah, or not quit jobs. Some people won't close the sale because they don't want to seem
Mm.
too pushy, and then that person goes, "Oh my God, you're that pushy salesman." So that fear, and you don't even know if that's going to happen. It's just you're imagining. It's anticipation of what might happen that you cause this to become your reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how do we even begin to become conscious of it to address that there's even an issue?
So the first thing you want to do is, instead of being in the space of, "Oh my God, why does this always happen to me?" Because that's usually what people are saying. You know, I'm trying to get success and I lose it. Why does this always happen to me? Why is everyone against me? Why is it? It's just these things that happen over and over. There's going to be two questions you want to ask, and they are, what's the benefit I'm not seeing that I'm getting
Mm.
right now? Or what is that horrible thing I think might happen if this problem went away? Right? And sometimes you get an immediate benefit from a problem. Like, for instance, I used to travel. Well, I still do travel a lot, but I used to travel and get stopped at the borders every time.
Mm.
Right? I get asked extra questions. I would get my luggage searched. Sometimes I would get my person searched, and it was annoying. It was frustrating, and I actually called some people on it. I remember traveling through Europe, and I got pulled out of line, and I'm looking at everyone else in line. What's the difference between me and them? And I said, "Is this your black check?" And the guy's like, "Look, I just got to do my job." I'm, "Yeah, but I just want verification. Is this your black check?" He goes, "Yeah, this is a black. I'm just doing what my boss told me." I'm like, "Okay, so this is all about me being black." Right? And so it's legit. So yeah, I know other people that they're not getting jobs, they're frustrated, they're getting pulled over driving because they're black. This is what's happening with me. But then I was talking to one of my coaches, and he's like, "Shiraz, are you ready to step out of this story?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is not a story. This is racism. Racism is real." And he said, "Oh yeah, yeah, racism's real. But what you're going through is a story." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" He says, "You're not getting denied jobs because you're black. You're not getting pulled over because you're black. The only way this is affecting you is crossing borders because you're black. If it's that specific, it's a story."
Hmm.
Right? And I said, "Okay, but the stories help us avoid emotional discomfort, or we get some sort of immediate benefit. I'm getting a lot of emotional discomfort whenever I'm being stopped at the border,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And there's no benefit. I don't see any benefit to this." And he looked at me and he goes, "Shiraz, whenever you tell your border crossing stories, you light up. You feed off everyone's reactions to your stories, your trials and tribulations, and you can't keep telling the same story over again because people get bored of it. So you have to keep getting stopped at borders,
So
so
you're
you
like,
have new material."
you're unconsciously saying, okay, I need to be stopped. I need to be stopped. I need to be stopped, so that they
Yeah.
continue to feed it.
Yeah.
So sometimes people will seek partners that are the ones that are drama filled, because then they can stay center of attention
Yes.
versus, I hadn't
Exactly.
thought about that before. They're
You
looking for that
don't.
gratification.
Yep. And you don't realize you're doing it. You don't realize your body language is different, which is what causes, like for me, the customs agents to pick me out. And here's the other thing. Once I realized that's what was going on, I said, "Okay, I'm done with it." I stopped getting stopped. Like it just instantly, I did not get stopped at the borders anymore. And here's the crazy awareness that came on. Do you know that there are non-white customs agents?
I haven't really paid attention.
Okay, so I didn't know there were non-white customs agents. I thought they were all white because I kept unconsciously lining myself up with the white ones so I could have the racism, so I could have the stories. Right? After I stepped out of the story, I'm like, wait a sec, he's Indian. She's Chinese. Where did these people come from? They'd always been there.
We were just looking for what we thought we were looking for.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So how do we begin to go about creating some of that in our life, that freedom or that flexibility from being stuck with the struggle we didn't even realize?
So there's the two sides of the coin. There's one, what are you saying over and over again? That's a problem in your life that you're telling everyone, because you're probably doing something similar and feeding off the stories of your struggle, especially people like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. Come on, we're supporting you. Instead of getting support and compassion from what's going wrong in your life, decide I'm going to get it from the achievements I'm getting. I want people celebrating my successes with me, and that's where I'll get my fix of interaction with other people. So that's the one side, is to get those fixes. The other side is to make this decision not to be emotionally affected by certain situations. If you have lots of money and people ask you for it, you can say no without feeling guilty. You think you have to feel guilty, but every emotion is a choice.
Yeah.
So that's it. That makes it so much easier. That alone will change your life dramatically.
And I think it changes from, okay, what's the world external happening to me versus how am I dealing with the world external?
Yep. Yeah. And it's interesting how it seems like it's circumstance. You don't think it's you. You think that's what's happening to me, not because of me.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking about my husband, who's 6'7", black, and we don't travel a lot internationally, so it's a little different. And I'm thinking, has he been stopped or has he not? I know one time he was like, I got pulled over, but I'm like, thinking about even things like that.
Yeah.
Interesting to think about. Now, I know you have a free gift for those people watching it. If they need a little bit of help with this, can you tell us
Okay.
about what it is? And I'll throw the link up here on the screen.
So one of the ways you can change the way you think and the way you feel is to learn how to focus on a specific thought for 30 seconds or more. Okay. Now, most people can hold a thought for 7 seconds or less. So if you wonder why most people aren't manifesting their success, this is a big reason. And in order to start rewiring your neural pathways so that you create more habits, different attitudes, and start taking different actions, you want to picture yourself in that space you desire to be in and feeling that place you want. If you watch The Secret, they talk about that. See yourself in the car and feel what it's like to do this. What they don't talk about is you've got to do this in real time for 30 seconds or more for the neural pathways to start changing. This is the science behind it, right? And because then it's like when you're imagining things, your mind doesn't care if it's real or if it's imagined, it treats everything as real. So if you see yourself not reacting to people insulting you, then your mind says, well, that's who I am. If you see yourself working out on a regular basis and you're imagining yourself, like, say, bench pressing in real time and what it feels like and everything, your mind thinks that's what's actually happening. If you see yourself confidently closing sales calls, but you're going through the full dialogue of the conversation, your mind thinks that's what's happening. So eventually it's going to say, well, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
But if you don't hold it for 30 seconds or more, you're not going to get that. So I've created these focus audios, and some of them are like 2 minutes long. The longest one's 12 minutes long. And you can just listen to them, and it's going to train you to focus on something for 30 seconds or more. And the cool thing is you can do them like sitting down meditative style, but I'll do them while I'm out for a walk. I'll do them while I'm doing the dishes. It's because it's about focus, not closing your eyes and being away from the rest of the world.
Oh, now I'm even sitting here thinking my husband sometimes gets cut off by Prius, and it's just that's what always happens. And now I'm thinking, is it just the Prius, or is just he noticing the Priuses?
Yeah.
the interesting things in our life. So I do have here, y'all, energeticmagic.thrivecart.com/focus audios. You can go there, and sometimes even just 2 minutes. I know I'll talk to people about meditation. They're like, oh yeah, how much? 30 minutes. I don't have that a day. And I'm like, some days it's just 3 minutes.
Yep.
Sometimes just that little bit that makes a difference.
And this is the thing. I started off with these. I would do 15 minutes in the morning to start my day, and then a couple minutes here and there through the day. And the side effect that, because I knew why I was doing this, but I didn't realize the side effect. The side effect is you become less reactive in stressful situations. People feel better around you. Like there's just a calming energy that you start to give off, right? And you become less. Well, I guess you're just calmer in general. You're just focused and grounded. And I'm like, when they do those drug commercials, they always have to put side effects may include. Well, these are the side effects, right?
But they're good side effects, at least.
Yes.
These are bonuses. These are extras that you get at no additional charge.
Yep.
So if y'all want to check out Shiraz and doing what he does, again, I was on his show just on Monday. I will leave a link to that in our YouTube show notes so you can check it out. About 43 minutes in, if I remember correctly, he actually started working with me on, what are some struggles that I have. So go check it out. He has a wealth of knowledge on that show site. Do you want to share that show? I don't have it as a fancy caption, but I'll put it in the show notes too.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube and go through to the Breakthrough Show Network, my show is one of the shows in the Breakthrough Show Network, and you can find it there. And it's funny because you're like, at 42 minutes, I started working with you. Usually when I do my show, it's about the half-hour mark that I start working on my guests. But Tiffanie was giving so much amazing content that I just kept letting her go. And then we were sitting there going, should I just call her back? Let's just let her finish the show out, and then we'll call back, and I'll work on her next time. But yeah, you were an amazing guest. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. You've been an amazing guest today. It's been so awesome having you here, chatting with us about even just beginning to uncover, okay, what could we be struggling with unintentionally, but it's totally within our realm to change it. So I want to say thank you so much for myself. Thank you so much for the viewing audience. And we hope to see you in the More Abundant Entrepreneur community again soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all. Happy networking, y'all.